Hey everyone and welcome back to Coding with Edric. In today's episode, I will be talking about conditional statements. Now, what are conditional statements exactly? Well, for example, you're trying to make a sandwich and you have a limited amount of ingredients on your side. So, for example, you could only make a sandwich if you have two slices of bread. Now that's already a basic conditional already because you said the word if or when. If and when are the basic conditionals in the English language. Now in programming, it's basically the same thing. But there's no when, there's just an if. Okay, so let's start off our program with our usual start. Hash include stdio.h int main void. Then our curly braces. Now let's do, for example, we want to create a program that is kind of like a calculator. So we need two integers, or rather two floating point numbers, because we could have decimal places in our calculator. So let's say float x and y. Now we also want a character, which is the operator. Oops. Don't use operator with a small o. Try using operator with a capital O because variables are case sensitive. If you place in operator with a small o, it actually would think that it would be the built-in function called operator, as you would see in the video there. When I place a small o, it darkens, it becomes more bold. But if I place a capital O, it just stays the same. There's no bold there. Now, let's print enter two numbers. \n. Then let's scan two floating point numbers. I suggest to place a space before it so that it will work better. I promise that it would actually work better if you place a space before your %f. Now we do a printf, then enter an operation. Now let's say for example addition. We enter a. Okay. Now I'm just going to copy paste this 4 times. Now subtraction is S, multiplication is M, and division is D. This is division, this is multiplication, and finally this is subtraction. Now we scan our character, ampersand operator. Now, we want to have our result as a float, of course. Float result. So let's just say float result here. Now, we want our result to match the operation. Now, how we're going to do that is we're going to be using the if statements. Okay, so if, for example, right now, operator, let's do addition first. Operator equal single quotes A. So we need to specify that it's single quotes because it's a character. If it's double quotes, it's a string. And it should be double equals because double equals is the binary equal operator, or it's the Boolean equal operator. Now the difference with the single equals is that the single equals is called the assignment operator. So it cannot be used in if statements. We have to use double equals always in the if statements so that we will have a better, so that it would actually work better. Okay, so if operator equal A, we know that A is addition. So we place in result equal x plus y. Remember to add the curly braces again because everything inside the curly braces is going to be part of our if statement. Now let's press enter and say else if. Meaning this is basically saying if the operator is A, we add the two numbers unless the operator is S. Well, in this case, if the operator is S, why did I place in results instead of result? If the operator is S, then we subtract the two numbers. The first number divided minus the second. So X minus Y. Remember to place in the curly braces. Again, unless the operator is M. Well, in this case, we want our result to be equal to X times Y because it's multiplication. Unless the operator is D. Well, in this case, we want it to be X divided by Y. And as you see here, this is called the ladderized conditionals. But we actually also need to place in else here. Else result is else we just print the operator the operation you placed cannot be evaluated right now. Okay, and then we do return 0 inside the else statement. Now, this else is only present. It can only be done once all of these operator equal A, S, and D, all of these failed. That's the only time where this else statement would run. So we still need a return 0 at the end of our entire program. This return 0 inside the else just makes the program skip whatever is under it and just end. But if it did not skip, meaning it did pass at least one of this or exactly one of this, then we print F. The result is %F. And that %F is referring to result, so we place in result there. Do not forget the semicolons. Now, why are there no semicolons in the if statement? Because that is just how the syntax works. I actually also could not explain it properly why there is no why there is no semicolon at the end of this line or at the end of this line. Just know that it's the syntax, it's how it works. It will not work if there will be a semicolon, for example, here, or if there's a semicolon here, it will not work. Okay, so let's save it as a C source file once again, and let's do conditional demo 1. Of course, you could name it whatever you want, but for my tutorials, I am going to place it as conditional demo 1 because all of the codes are in a GitHub repository. The link is down in the description below. Now, if we compile and run this, we could do enter two numbers. This slightly big file, so it's going to take a while to, okay? Enter two numbers. Let's say my favorite two numbers, 3.14 because that's pi, and 10. Now, enter an operation, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Let's do addition. So that should be 13.14, and the result is 13.14. Let's check with subtraction this time. 3.14 and 10. This would yield to negative number. I can't really grade it right now, but I think it will be negative 6.86. Let's check if my math is actually correct here. There you go. The result is negative 6.860000, but we could just take out the zeros in our computation. The computer just likes to place in those extra zeros. Now let's try multiplication. The multiplication is 31.4. The result must be 31.4. Aha! The result is 31.400002. This is called a rounding error. Why is it called a rounding error? Because it's a float and it actually adds some extra things. So that 0.2 right there, or 0.00002 right there. Sometimes it adds a 0.9999999, or it subtracts it by 0.0001, so it becomes a 0.99999. But anyway, this is called a rounding error. We don't have to worry about it that much. That's just how these programming languages are made. And finally, let's try division. Division, the result must be 0.314. See, there, the result is 0.314000. And finally, let's try entering something that cannot be read right now. So for example, a percent sign. The operation you place cannot be evaluated right now, and it just exited with return value 0. Now, that's basically what conditionals are. Now, for another demonstration, I'll be creating a very simple program that gets only one integer and checks if it is a positive, negative, or a zero integer. Okay? Int x, so let's do print f, enter an integer. Now we are going to assume that all of the inputs will be an integer, so we don't need to do a parse, or we don't need to do a cast. Okay, so we do if x is less than 0, just like our conditional operator less than, we also have less than in math, or just like we have a less than symbol in math, we could also use the less than symbol as a conditional operator. So if it's less than 0, we do print f, your number is negative. Now we do else. If x is greater than 0, we do print f, we print out print f, your number is positive. And else, so if it's not less than 0 and if it's not greater than 0, then it must be equal to 0. Print f, your number is 0. And then, of course, don't forget the return 0 at the end. I'm going to be naming this file as a C source file called conditional_demo2. If we compile and run this, we are going to be asked to enter an integer. So for example, I want to place in 101 because I think that's a prime number and I like prime numbers. So your number is positive. Okay, 101 is positive. Now how about negative 101? Your number is negative. The computer could see that as well. What if I place in 0? What if I input 0? Your number is 0. So that's it for today's episode. I hope you learned something new about conditionals and C programming today. If you like the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next episode of Coding with Edric. Thanks for watching and take care.